art friends, Mrs. Larrabee here. Today we're going to be looking at a book and using the illustrations to practice some artwork today. The book that we're going to be looking at is Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, written and illustrated by Mo Williams. So he wrote the words, designed the story, and he also did the illustrations in the book. So cool. You may have seen this book before. If you haven't read it, then I will add a link where you can hear the story read to you, because it's always fun to see the pictures before. And you can always go back as you're listening to the story and pause on certain pages if you want to take a closer look at the illustrations. So you don't necessarily need the book today. You can use the link to listen to it. You will need a blank sheet of paper and a marker. I really encourage you to try this exercise with marker and not necessarily with pencil and eraser. It just helps us as we process drawing and drawing more quickly if we start with a marker. And this is for fun. You could start small and practice and then do your final artwork after you've practiced a few times too. All right, let's get started here. Before we go too far, I just want to point out a few illustrations in this book as we refer back to them. There's the cover, which is kind of what we're going to start with today. But after we start with the cover and we talk about some of how we're going to draw our pigeon, you could go back in the book and you could look at the different expressions that the pigeon has. Oh, like here, the pigeon is sad. And the way that it changed from the front cover to here is that the head is drooping down and the wings are down by the side. You can actually see this wing in the back, whereas in this picture you couldn't. A lot of times a writer might say, if it were describing this in words, a writer and author might say that their head was hanging low. And here's a visual description of a head hanging low. There he is, unhappy. His head's hanging low, not quite as low, but his eyes are kind of hooded. Looks very happy. And this black back here, a thought, kind of lets you know that that's unhappiness, right? We can show movement with the little lines around it. Shows that his wings are moving back and forth. Whereas here his wings are still and there's no lines to show movement. Those are just a few little things that the artist, Mr. Williams, does in the book to show movement and change in his story and his illustrations. All right, today we're going to start with a bird, a pigeon that's straight. I'm going to move this and start with my blank sheet of paper. One thing that we want to pay attention to is proportion here. Let me bring this back one more time. If you notice, his head has a very long neck under it and a body, so it's going to start at the top of our paper. So as you get your paper, I want you to find kind of the center top. So here's my, let's see, it's kind of off the paper here. Here's my top of the paper. And here's another way to do it. Sometimes I put my finger on the top and bottom and I move them together to find the middle. And this time I would do the top and the middle, and I would move them at the same rate towards the center. And where they meet is an estimation of where the center top of my paper would be. All right. We're going to start where our finger is by drawing a circle around it. This is going to be the head of our pigeon. All right. And the next defining feature would be the eye. It's kind of not right in the center, a little more towards the top. And inside the eye would be another circle, a darker circle, the pupil, the dark part of our eye. And go ahead and color the pupil in. I like to leave just a little, I'll put a little circle here. I like to leave just a tiny bit of white space in there, because in real life, if you go and look in the mirror, you'll see that the light is reflecting from your eye. And there's always a tiny little bit of light in there. It's actually called a lifeline in art. All right, next we need to draw the beak of our bird. All right, this is kind of an ellipses. It's that oval with the pointed edges. And then I can just connect it with a curved line back to the face. It's starting to look like a pigeon, isn't it? All right, let's take a look at the body one more time. The neck is about, let's see, I'm going to kind of measure, estimate, 1, 2 heads high. Another neat thing is that the neck is about as long as the body is wide. These different proportions will help us in drawing more realistically here. This is something that artists use all the time. They kind of estimate and measure one part of the picture against the other to know how big or small something should be. All right, so we're going to draw 2 parallel lines for the neck. And then we're going to draw 1 horizontal line for the back. And this line is going to be about as wide as this one. Close. All right, to make the rest of the body, we're going to connect this side over here with a curve. Kind of a curve, and then it goes a little bit more towards the point. And to make the wing, we're going to do something very similar shape. We're going to make a line, and I'm going to start over here, and a curve for the wing. The pigeon also has this telltale white stripe around the neck, and he definitely needs his feet. All right, so think about it. What do you think? You could go back and look at the illustration. I think I would have made my legs a little longer on mine if I were to go back. So now that we've done the basics of this pigeon, you could color it in. You could add, this is the one time you will hear Miss Larrabee say, you could add a speech bubble to your picture, and you could write in, don't let the pigeon, and you could finish the sentence. Don't let the pigeon eat my dessert. Don't let the pigeon ride my bike. You come up with something. Don't let the pigeon, you could pause right here so that you can see how to spell the words. And then you can add a speech bubble to your bird. All right, I want to give you guys one other thing. This would be complete artwork. Color it in, watercolor, color pencils. But just for fun, let's look at one other illustration and how we could use what we've learned to draw this. Let's try this guy right here. Well, same pigeon, different picture, right? It's like he's whispering a secret to us. So I'm going to do this in miniature. Oops, better pull it down, huh? I'm going to do this in miniature this time. I'm going to start with the head. I'm going to add the eye. And this time he has a little bit of the eyelid showing, so I'll do that. And then I'll put the eye in there. It's almost too small to leave a little white spot in it. And then this time his beak is open. So the shape has changed a little more pointed. All right, and then let's do the neck. It's curved just a tiny bit. And this time he has his wing up, like he's whispering. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to add the wing. Oh, I kind of did it from the body. And here's the line for the back. There we go. And you can see just a little bit of the other wing in the background. And then his legs are even kind of off to the side, like he's leaning just a little. What do you guys think? Mine looks like he's yelling a little bit more than this one. But you get the idea. You can move around these same elements that we just used to make the bird look like he's doing different things. You could even use these lines to make it look like he's moving. I hope you guys have fun with your pigeons. I can't wait to see what creative phrases you come up with. Don't let the pigeon. I hope you guys enjoy it. Remember, you can share your picture with me on email or with your teacher. And I look forward to seeing you next time.